Title: My sister-in-law falsely claimed I impregnated her, and my wife and her family instantly believed her. My wife struck me violently, her brothers assaulted me, and they shattered my existence. I purchased a one-way flight and disappeared. Chapter 1. The fabrication that demolished everything *it was a Sunday evening when the falsehood obliterated my world. I had just returned from my job, weary, with the faint scent of motor grease and perspiration clinging to me, when my wife's kin stormed into our home like a pack of feral dogs. Her brothers spearheaded the onslaught, their gazes alight with rage, her mother already shedding crocodile tears, and my wife, my beloved, stood at the center, quivering with fury. Before I could inquire about the commotion, my wife's sister advanced. Tears cascaded down her face, but her tone was icy and calculated. "He got me pregnant," she proclaimed, her finger aimed directly at me. "He forced himself on me when you were away. I didn't want to reveal it, but I can't conceal it any longer." The room tilted, my heart constricted. I chuckled in disbelief. "What? That's absurd. You're fabricating." But before I could elaborate *, my wife's palm struck my face with such force that my ears buzzed. "You sicken me," she hissed. "I trusted you and you betray me with my own sister." I staggered backward, dazed, struggling to comprehend, to breathe. "I swear on my life, I never laid a hand on her." But her brothers didn't allow me to continue. They seized my collar, drove their fists into my gut, and slammed me against the wall. Furniture toppled, my son wailed in the distance. "You're done," one of them roared. "You'll never show your face here again." By the time they finished, my ribs throbbed, my lip bled, and my marriage, my entire existence, was in ruins. Her father approached last, pointing at the door with venomous disdain. "Leave, you're not a man, you're not family, you're nothing." I cast one final glance at my wife. Her expression was unyielding. She didn't waver, she didn't blink. In that moment, I understood the truth. They had all wanted me gone. The lie was merely their pretext. That night, after tending to my wounds in a rundown motel, I secured a one-way ticket. No letter, no farewell. No fight remaining within me. I vanished. But what I couldn't foresee was that years later, when they least anticipated it, the truth would resurface. And when it did, it wouldn't merely vindicate me, it would devastate them. Chapter 2. Fading into obscurity *, I arrived in a new city with only a backpack, a battered face, and a bank account barely sufficient for a month's rent. For the first few weeks, I existed like a phantom. A cheap motel, menial jobs, no ties to my past. But rage is a powerful motivator, and I refused to let their deception define me. I rebuilt myself, step by step. I started with construction work, then night shifts at a warehouse, until I saved enough to afford certifications. I studied in solitude, IT, real estate, business administration. Each milestone was a stone in the barrier I erected between myself and those who had ruined me. By year 3, I owned a modest company. By year 5, it had grown into a multi-million-dollar enterprise with global clients. My bruises had healed, but the wound of betrayal burned fiercer each time I recalled my wife's slap, her family's scorn, and that false accusation. I told no one my whereabouts, not my parents, not old friends. I lived cautiously, discreetly, invisibly. Until one evening 9 years after my disappearance, a knock echoed at my door. I opened it and froze. It was her, my former wife. Her hair was unkempt, her face ashen, her eyes shadowed with desperation. Behind her stood a young boy and girl, now perhaps 10 and 7. She gripped the doorframe as if it were her only anchor. "Please," she murmured, "I need your help." And in that moment, I knew their carefully crafted lie had finally unraveled. Chapter 3. The fractures in her deception. For a long moment, I simply stared at her. This was the woman who had struck me in front of her family. The woman who had chosen her sister's falsehood over decades of trust. The woman who had stood by as her brothers pummeled me, leaving me broken. And now she stood on my doorstep, trembling, a mere shadow of her former self. I leaned against the doorframe, arms folded. "You've got some audacity showing up here. What do you want?" Tears glistened in her eyes, but I'd seen those before when she wielded them as weapons. "This isn't for me," she whispered. "It's for them." She gestured to the children. I looked closer. Their clothes were threadbare. Their wide, fearful eyes told a story before she even spoke. "They're my sister's kids," she confessed. "She's gone, cancer, and her husband abandoned them. I've been trying to care for them, but—" Her voice broke. "Everything's collapsed. My family, they won't speak to me. They despise me. After what happened with you, the truth emerged," and I cut her off, my voice sharp as a blade. "The truth? You mean the lie you eagerly believed while they destroyed me? That truth?" She flinched, unable to meet my gaze. They all turned against me, she murmured. My parents disowned me, my brothers blamed me, and my sister, she died cursing me. I lost everything, the house, the friends, our family's reputation, all gone. I let out a bitter chuckle. So you came to the man you ruined? Her eyes brimmed with tears again, but these weren't crocodile tears. She sank to her knees, hands trembling. Please, she pleaded, you're the only one who can help. You've built something, I've seen it, you're successful now. I don't care about myself, but these kids, she glanced at them. They don't deserve to suffer for their mother's sins or mine. The boy looked at me, his voice faint. Sir, she says you're strong, that you don't let bad people win. Can we stay here? And for the first time in years, I felt the sting of tears, because she was right about one thing. Those children didn't deserve the curse of her family's lies, but that didn't mean she'd escape the repercussions of her actions. Chapter 4. The divide between vengeance and compassion. I stood in silence, staring at her crumpled form on my porch. Years of fury surged through me like a tempest. Every sleepless night, every bruise, every word of betrayal when she chose her sister's lie over me. I wanted to slam the door, to tell her to take her desperation elsewhere, to let her experience true abandonment. But then I looked beyond her at the children. They weren't crying or pleading. They were simply waiting, silent, their wide eyes reflecting a world far crueler than it should be. In that moment, my anger sharpened into something more precise. I'll help them, I said at last, my voice low and deliberate. But not you, she froze, lifting her head. What do you mean? You destroyed my life with one strike, one lie you didn't even question. You stood by while they broke me. You let them shatter everything I had. You don't get to ask for anything now. Her lips quivered, but I continued, stepping closer. These children will have a home, they'll eat, attend school, and be safe. But you'll earn it. Every cent I spend on them you'll repay, not with money, but with work. Cleaning, cooking, scrubbing floors if necessary. You wanted to know what it's like to live without trust or love. Welcome to it. Her shoulders slumped, but she nodded. I'll do whatever it takes. The boy tugged at my sleeve, his voice soft. Thank you, sir. I placed my hand gently on his head, as I once did with my own children before everything crumbled. Don't thank me yet, son. This isn't over. Because while part of me was ready to shield these children from their family's sins, another part, the part that had been beaten, humiliated, and abandoned, was already plotting something else. Something that would finally expose every one of them as the liars they were. This wasn't just about protecting the kids anymore. It was about retribution. Chapter 5. Unearthing the past. The following days were a whirlwind of silence and scheming. My ex-wife kept her head down, cleaning my floors, folding clothes, and preparing meals like a ghost of the woman who once stood by as her brothers battered me. The children adapted quickly, as if they'd spent their lives yearning for stability. But stability wasn't enough for me. Not yet. Late at night, when the kids were asleep and she was exhausted, I sat at my desk with a glass of whiskey and my laptop open. For years, I'd avoided revisiting the past, fearing it would drag me under. Now I faced it like a man staring down a loaded gun. I retrieved an old folder from the bottom drawer. Inside were remnants of my shattered life. Medical bills from the night I was hospitalized, photos of my bruised ribs, and a faded letter from my attorney warning that fighting the case without family testimony would be futile. That was the key, family testimony. Her family. The ones who had lied, who had sworn in court they'd seen me assaulting her sister, claiming I'd confessed to fathering her child. Every word was perjury. Every word had ruined me. I clenched my fists. Now, with time on my side, I began assembling the pieces. I called in a favor from a friend who still worked at the courthouse records office. Within a week, I had certified transcripts of their testimony, alongside a hospital DNA record from her sister's pregnancy. The father wasn't me. It wasn't even close. I dug deeper. Through cautious, discreet research, I found her sister's old boyfriend from that year, a name I vaguely recalled, now linked to old social media photos. He had disappeared after a drug arrest 2 towns away. Piece by piece, the puzzle formed, and with it came a realization. I wasn't just going to clear my name. I was going to drag their reputation through the dirt until nothing remained of their so-called honorable family. The children deserved safety, but their mother and her kin, they deserved ruin. Chapter 6. Preparing the trap. The next week, I became a shadow with a mission. By day, I played the part of a quiet man rebuilding his life. By night, I worked on my laptop, drafting documents, printing records, and probing every vulnerability in their defenses. First, I gathered allies. My courthouse friend connected me with a fierce, no-nonsense lawyer who specialized in wrongful conviction and slander cases. When she reviewed the perjury transcripts, her eyes gleamed. "You've been holding onto a powder keg for years," she said. "They assaulted you, destroyed your career, and lied under oath. This isn't just about clearing your name. It's about financial ruin, criminal charges, and leverage for full custody. Are you ready?" I didn't hesitate. "I've been ready since the night they beat me." Next, I set the trap. I feigned forgiveness toward my ex-wife, telling her I was willing to move forward for the children's sake. She wept, embracing me, believing my words. But every smile I offered was a facade. Behind her back, I filed the first motions. Petitions for perjury, defamation, and damages for assault, backed by DNA records proving her sister's child wasn't mine, the transcripts of their false testimony, and a sworn statement from the boyfriend I'd tracked down, who admitted he was the true father. Finally, I prepared for the ultimate unveiling. My lawyer proposed a plan that made me grin. "Don't tell them you've filed yet. Let the court summons arrive during a family event, somewhere public where the shame will hit hardest." So I waited. When the invitation arrived for her sister's baby's christening, a lavish affair with the entire extended family, I RSVP'd with a courteous smile. My ex-wife thought it signaled peace. She didn't know it marked the beginning of their downfall. Chapter 7. The christening ambush. The church hall was adorned in white and gold, brimming with flowers, champagne glasses, and laughter. My ex-wife and her family reveled in their usual arrogance, acting as if their lies had never destroyed me. I entered quietly with my daughter, dressed impeccably, nodding politely at those who once spat on my name. My ex-wife's sister, the one who falsely accused me of fathering her child, cradled her baby proudly with everyone fawning over her. But I wasn't there to admire the decor. I was there for the spectacle. Midway through the ceremony, the double doors swung open. 2 uniformed officers entered, accompanied by a court clerk. The hall fell silent. "Mrs. Thompson, Miss Thompson," the clerk's voice rang out. "You've been served." Gasps filled the air as the clerk handed thick envelopes of legal documents to my ex-wife, her sister, and their parents. Confusion turned to panic as they tore them open, scanning the contents. Lawsuit. Perjury, defamation, assault, damages. I stepped forward, my voice steady, carrying across the hall. "Isn't it ironic? Years ago you said I'd lose everything, that I'd slink away in disgrace. Yet here I stand, vindicated, strong with the truth in my grasp. And you'll face prison, bankruptcy, and the same shame you forced upon me." My ex-wife stammered. You can't do this." I raised a hand. "Oh, but I can. DNA doesn't deceive, court records don't deceive, and neither does the recording of your sister boasting about how easy it was to frame me." "Shall I play it?" The guests turned, murmuring in disgust. Her own brother muttered, "Is this true?" The facade of their perfect family was fracturing before everyone's eyes. Her sister burst into sobs. Her parents aged a decade in moments. My ex-wife's confident smirk vanished, replaced by pale silence. I leaned down to my daughter, who clutched my hand, her eyes wide. "Remember this day," I whispered. "This is what happens when lies confront the truth." The christening was over. The humiliation had only begun. Chapter 8. The courtroom reckoning the courthouse was packed, with journalists crowding the back row, their pens scribbling furiously. My ex-wife, her sister, and their parents sat at the defense table, pale and tense, whispering to their attorneys like cornered prey awaiting judgment. When the judge entered, silence descended. His gaze swept the room before settling on me. "Mr. Anderson, you may proceed." I rose slowly, approaching the projector screen at the room's center. With a single click, the audio file played. Her sister's voice filled the chamber, unmistakable and venomous. It was so easy to frame him. Everyone already despised him. My parents believed me instantly, and my sister struck him without hesitation. "He'll never recover." Gasps echoed through the room. My ex-wife buried her face in her hands. Her parents' jaws dropped, their carefully crafted dignity crumbling. I turned to the judge. "For years, I lived in exile. My marriage destroyed, my reputation tarnished, my career in ruins, all because of a lie. Today, I'm not here just for compensation. I'm here for justice." The defense attorney tried to object, stumbling over claims of context, but the judge silenced him with a glare. Next, I presented the DNA results, proving the child wasn't mine. Then came the police reports detailing the assault I endured at the hands of her brothers. Every document stacked neatly, forming an unshakable tower of truth. When it was their turn to speak, their excuses were feeble. The sister sobbed, claiming jealousy drove her. My ex-wife insisted she was coerced into believing the lie. Their parents cited family honor. The judge remained unmoved. He slammed his gavel. Perjury, defamation, conspiracy, assault. The court rules in favor of the plaintiff. Full damages awarded, including punitive. Custody rights restored, and criminal prosecution will proceed separately. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs. Reporters rushed to the exits to file their stories. I stood tall, watching as my ex-wife and her family were led out, humiliated. Their empire of lies had collapsed under the weight of a single truth. I felt a tug at my hand. My daughter looked up, her eyes gleaming with pride. "You won, Daddy?" I knelt, pulling her into an embrace. "No, sweetheart, we won, because we never stopped believing in the truth." Epilogue: their collapse, my restoration won. Their downfall, the scandal spread beyond the courtroom. Newspapers, online forums, and TV talk shows seized the story. Family convicted after false paternity claim destroyed husband's life. Her sister, once smug in her victimhood, became an outcast. Neighbors whispered. Employers turned her away. The child's true father, long gone, never returned. She raised her child alone under the shadow of her own lies. My ex-wife fared no better. With court documents public, her credibility vanished. Friends stopped answering her calls. Even her parents, facing financial ruin after paying damages, disowned her. 2. My restoration. Meanwhile, my life rebuilt itself, piece by piece. I returned to work, earning newfound respect from colleagues who once doubted me. Opportunities emerged, doors long closed, now wide open. But true restoration was at home. My daughter thrived, not the frightened girl who once saw her father beaten, but a strong, confident child proud to call me dad. She often said, "You never gave up even when they tried to destroy you. That's why I'll never give up either." 3. The final confrontation years later in a quiet cafe, I saw my ex-wife. She looked aged, worn, her arrogance long faded. She tried to speak, but when her eyes met mine, she faltered. The shame was too great. She lowered her head and left without a word. That was my true vengeance, not the money, not the verdict, but watching her bear the weight of her own destruction, knowing she could never undo her actions. The lesson: when lies reign, they ruin lives. But when truth arrives, it doesn't just restore, it redeems. I didn't just win in court. I reclaimed my life, and for her. She'd forever be remembered not as a wife, sister, or daughter, but as the liar who lost everything. Was this retribution entirely justified? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the story if you believe this justice was deserved. Share it with someone who needs this energy, and subscribe to Lauren's story for more gripping tales of betrayal and justice. Because here, every lie meets its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay resilient, and stay tuned.